Hello, Perceptive Reader. This is James Lynch. Good day to you. And you know what I want to talk about today? I could actually talk about this probably for several hours. But since I like to keep these discussions with you within 10 minutes, let me share something as a reference that when I get a chance to get this on my website, remember I got that nice section for you called the lighthearted and heavier discussions. Yes, I'm very happy to be able to provide that for you. Remember, over the years, I'm always placing something that would be similar to news events or what have you. But it has to be according to something that's going along with my line of thinking as well, which is really out there. Well, I'm going to put this when I can, when I'm talking to you right now, in a video. And then beside it, the reference that I'm telling you about on this heavier discussion, and you have a cigar in your hand, it's called Michael Jordan's Wisdom Found in Rare Interview. And it's more than over 230 some thousand views so far in less than 6 months. Now, he's made a lot of statements, and you would probably remember some of my brief comments in reference to his quotes over the years as well. And it's for a reason, you know. But I want to tell you something that he mentioned in the interview near the end. You see, near the end of the interview, well, it wasn't the end, but at least they cut that segment. But see, he mentioned his age. Okay, he mentioned his age, and then he also talked about uh, the life that he was living right now, and a life that he's basically happy with, and the reason why he's happy with it. Okay, now wouldn't you say that, see, he earned his props, he earned his kudos. Okay, he did. And the way that he wants to live his life, would you say anybody should want to even argue with him or take him out of that? Or even say, well, Michael Jordan, you in your comfort zone now. So we're going to come in and do a trading places with you and cause hell in your life. See, think about that. There's a deeper subject to that. And there's a reason why I mentioned it. Now, with that as well, I want to tell you something else that he talked about in this interview. Another aspect that I fully appreciate, where he talked about on people not thinking that was a good idea when he played minor league baseball. Isn't that interesting? All those years ago, when he was still in his prime. You see what I'm saying? Still just in his prime. And that's what he did. And he wasn't looking at, you see, because remember, he wasn't placed as the greatest of all times in baseball, but it is in basketball. Remember, that's him. That's his niche. That's more than, that's who he is. But that's not all who he is. Baseball showed another facet. And what he was referencing is how he learned and picked up, you see, experience, knowledge, life. I'm going to use a word, even empathy. And I don't mean empathy in a bad way. I don't mean compassion in a bad way. I'm using these words to show he picked up a personality and a feeling and an affection for those persons who played minor league baseball, and why they felt the way that they they loved the game and everything, and who they were, that it was contagious to him. See, I just put in my own words what he was talking about. It was contagious to him, and he took away aspects of it that he even knows. He knows that if he wouldn't have went through that experience, um, then something, a part of his life, wouldn't have had the opportunity, the joy, the chance, the fulfillment of life without it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he was basically saying that he is glad, he's happy to experience being with these persons who they didn't make the big bucks, but they made bucks. I would say minimum wage or what have you. And yet, see, you can tell he wouldn't trade that experience for the world. You see, even though a lot of people probably thought, where you could tell the way they were expressing themselves, that he was just wasting his time. But according to him, what he got from it, you see what I'm saying? It was another experience of a lifetime for him. So I want to reply to you again, or make the statement again. Wouldn't it have been a shame that somebody overbearing, if they would have took the chance or opportunity to try to strong arm him out of that situation, to block him from that situation because they had the big bucks? Wouldn't that have been a shame? Now, one more thing that I'm going to talk about, because I told you that interview will be going to my heavier section on that page, is this. He talked about humility. He talked about not throwing his achievements in people's faces. Have we not talked about that? That's one reason why we talk about sometimes if you can hang out with certain persons who are, as people would say, on your frequency, you see. See, and let me tell you something about being on the same frequency with a person, seriously. Because, he was talking about how, he wouldn't be throwing any of his achievements in people's faces and things of that nature. But I got to tell you right now today about being on a person's frequency. The same type of jokes, the same type of statements or what have you that one person would make to you, that all you do is chuckle or have a belly laugh or what have you, would still be that same type of frequency that somebody else may say, you full of yourself. You see what I'm talking about? And guess what? Your frequency is not lower level because you said it. Your frequency is not lower level or in the dirt because you engaged in it. I'm going to say this again. I don't know what people think. I don't know what they're thinking for every single person that at least had a child. I don't know how they think they had that child, because I'm telling you, some of the frequencies they went there. Ooh, I kill me. But the whole point is this: is where your mind may reside. That's the whole thing. See, there's a time and place and enjoyment for everything, and even in conversation with different ones, you see. And that's why I'm here to tell you some of the same ways that, let's say, if Michael Jordan was sitting up there with somebody who was on his frequency with a cigar, maybe with a glass of a beer or wine, something, I started talking about what he did in 1985, 86, the NCAA, the AA or whatever. Look at that, it escaped my mind. But those college tournaments where he was already showing a greatness on the level that some people are saying, when he get in that NBA, boy, he's going to just dominate. So we better go ahead and start enjoying our last decade because he's coming. As another, even rapper once mentioned how he could notice persons who were coming up. But see, all the same, he also talked about the limelight etc., etc. And the reality is now that we have today, just like take him for instance, he tries to control still to to a manageable degree the level of access you see of what people do or what people know, and yet all the same we live in a very peculiar, I'm telling you, a very peculiar time. And just for some of us, just for some, now this is just the way life is going to be until a paradisiac condition, and that's just the reality of it. And who knows, and the way some will have it, they'd like to have it going on forever. But all the same, as we grow spiritually sound every day, ethically sound every day, or practice such stuff, practice such helpful teachings and stuff, we'll get it together. But all the same, make no mistake about it, I really want to emphasize there's a time to let someone, take the lead, even in the limelight. And then there's a time where you have to continue to fight because the persons who want the so-called limelight have already shown they really don't even, that they're not really showing the proper respect uh, in handling the matters. Well, I'm just telling you, the reality is you got some people, and if you look at the news of the last 24 hours, it's almost like I used the example. They will burn down the bond just so somebody, even someone who can do it and will be of good nature and good cheer, won't have still that type of responsibility or position. And I'm going to tell you something else. Uh, there's now levels of access that people have at once in the spotlight and things at times where all they're doing is I'm telling you, is stumbling themselves because they so, and I want you to reference something that Michael Jordan talked about it, because they so really up in your face and everywhere else. Those my extra statements. So I gave you enough that I want you to really pay attention to this interview. It's called Michael Jordan's Wisdom Found in Rare Interview, and I'll be sure to highlight it on the website. Have a very wonderful day. Take care.